Well, let's start with what a top Chinese disease control official has said about China's coronavirus vaccines. At a press conference at the weekend, the official, Dr. Gao Fu, said the efficacy of the vaccines was low. Since then, though, he said that his comments were misinterpreted. Let's speak to Kerry Allen, who works for BBC Monitoring and looks at the media coming out of China. Hi, Kerry.
Hi, James.
Right. What did he say, and what does he now say that he really meant?
Well, he very much said that vaccines in China don't have very high rates of protection. And he made comments about potentially mixing COVID-19 vaccines as a way of boosting their effectiveness. But now what's happened is there's been an exclusive interview given with China's national newspaper Global Times in which he said that what he was doing was offering a scientific vision that in order to improve the effectiveness of vaccines, there could be adjusted vaccination procedures. And he said that vaccines all around the world are sometimes high and sometimes low. So he's saying that what he said was taken out of context. So some people are seeing this as a U-turn from what he's been saying.
It's a really helpful phrase, isn't it, for politicians, public officials, taken out of context.
Exactly, yes. So he's now saying that this was a complete misunderstanding and really enforcing that there is not a problem with Chinese vaccines because obviously this is going to have a very unsettling opinion, not only to people within China, but also around the world. I mean, there are more than 60 countries at the moment that are using Chinese vaccines, and there are at least 80 that China says it's helped provide vaccines to, which is nearly, would that be like half the world?
Gosh, if there are about 200 odd territories, 193, I think, members of the UN, that's getting there, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And what do we know inside China about China's vaccines and also the vaccination program within the country itself?
Well, it's been running now for a number of months. It was one of the first countries to launch vaccination. China's had at least 3 vaccines that are being used. There are a number that are still in phase 3 trials. So there are a number of vaccine candidates. We know now, we get daily statistics that more than 167 million doses have been given within mainland China. So it's second in the world after the US in terms of the number of vaccine doses. We also know that hundreds of millions have been given to other countries around the world. So a considerable amount, not just China, but also other countries. And particularly within China, the people who are receiving these vaccines are actually, it's very different to, just looking at the UK, for example, where I am, it's not the elderly that are being prioritised. So the majority of people who are actually receiving vaccines in China are in the 18 to 59 years of age category. And as a result, China's not got enough data, particularly on the elderly. So its vaccines like Sinovac and Sinopharm have not yet got World Health Organization authorization.
Right.
There's been questions about data transparency.
I'm really fascinated to understand what's being talked about in Chinese language social media. Are people allowed to say, look, I'm a little bit scared about the efficacy of this vaccine?
Oh, absolutely, yes. And actually, this is something that national media have very much been covering in recent days because just like, human nature, a lot of people are scared about getting a vaccine, a jab. But also because China is largely back to normal, some people feel that they almost don't need a jab because it's very much been the case since April 2020 that people in China could largely go about, they could go clubbing again, they could go to bars, they could go to restaurants. So they almost feel like they've adjusted to a post-corona world for a long period of time. But at the same time, they've got officials very much telling them now, this could happen again unless you get the vaccine.
If I was in Shanghai right now and I needed to go out to a nightclub in the evening, could I do so?
You could absolutely do so. Yeah, you could go anywhere. A lot of places have like a track and trace system in place. So you have a code on your mobile phone that you can scan that proves that you've not got the coronavirus or been in contact with anyone who's got the coronavirus. So there are still businesses that more or less kind of track that people are okay to enter their premises. But it's largely the case that people are not wearing masks in public. They feel safe. They can go anywhere. They can travel across the country. Yeah, it's life as normal very much, apart from one area in the southwest, a city called Rili, which is on the border with Myanmar. There are parts of that city at the moment that are under lockdown due to recent cases, but anywhere else, it's life as normal.
Kerry Allen, as always, thank you so much.